Benesch was founded in 1938 by attorneys Alfred Benesch and Jerome Friedlander. From an office of only 5 lawyers in general practice, Benesch has become a leading law firm with an international reach comprised of more than 175 attorneys and 360 total employees. The history of Benesch is an unusual juxtaposition of people and events. It is a chronicle of attorneys respected within our legal and business communities for their professional acumen and their willingness to provide excellent client service. It is the record of professionals who taught newcomers in the firm by sharing their knowledge and through friendship and kindness. It is a story of an approach to legal practice set in place during the firm's formative years that has remained its hallmark and has established the firm's reputation of excellence. I'd like to wish the firm a happy 75th anniversary and continued success.
When I joined the firm, I was just kind of a member of the group and a team contributor. And over the years, I've been given many leadership opportunities and chances to be involved in the strategy of our business and the growth and how we can move it forward. It started really with working on certain committees. We had a committee for our strategic plan that we put in place many years ago. I served on that. We also had a committee related to our core values and developing those statements. And that evolved into taking more leadership on the executive committee and having that opportunity, as well as now running the practice group. And so that's been very positive in terms of somebody that lateraled in who didn't grow up at Benesch to have the opportunity to be on leadership has been something I was hoping for when I made the move over here from another firm, and certainly has been there for me to take advantage of.
When you're an associate, at least in those days, I did everything that came on the door. I did real estate work, I did contract work, I even tried a few cases. The overtime, as we attracted more people, Bob Copeland was, although Bob Copeland and Jerry Friedlander were the main factors, and I did work for both of them, Bob Copeland really had a vision of building the firm. Over time, as additional people came in, we tended to gravitate, or at least I did, into the business corporate world. And over time, I ended up assisting Bob in managing the firm. As time went along and Bob ultimately retired early, I ended up assuming his mantle and did most of the management, and continued to fortunately attract business in the corporate arena, and grew in that respect. And then in 1975, my then partners, and they were smaller in number, the number of people in the firm in 1975, I believe, was something like 20. Between 18 and 20, decided to add my name to the firm title, so my name has been in the firm title since 1975.
Jim Hill became managing partner in April '99. One of the first things that Jim wanted to do was to structure the firm to run more like a business. And they created a new job, Chief Operating Officer. The way we have restructured the firm to run like a business is really through our practice groups. We've really have embraced and are using a practice group model, which the lingo I always use is a product line kind of structure, with our product lines being our practice groups.
When I joined the firm as an associate in 1971, my first office was a janitor's closet. And behind my desk and my chair was a door. And if you opened up that door, you had the janitor's slop sink and mop. So they never made me mop up anything, but from there I progressed, was elevated based on outstanding performance to the former room used for the switchboard. And I think it wasn't for about 3 years before I got a real office that might be suitable for an attorney.
I joined the firm in 1977 as a legal secretary, and over the years, I would say that it's changed just in the fact that as I gained more experience, I was able to become, I think, a better assistant to the attorneys that I worked for.
When I joined Benesch, that was the first time I had a BlackBerry or smartphone, and the 24/7 connectivity and the client expectations on the service side have certainly increased and are much more significant. And then clients are demanding us to be much more smart in how we provide services to them, more cost effective, understanding their needs more, and making sure that we align what their expectations are. And to the extent that you do that well and are able to find opportunities to bring additional value, there's a lot of opportunity out there.
I think technology has been the biggest change. The law changes rather more slowly.
It's changed obviously with technology, the way in which we, in the dim days of the 60s, we used to be able to print briefs by ink and rolling them on pieces of equipment, and all the technological improvements that we have at our hands now has made the practice obviously a lot easier.
In terms of how the practice has changed, both generally and my own, one way is in terms of the speed. We're not just talking about before the internet. We're talking about before fax. We're talking about before FedEx. So everything took a little bit longer. Perhaps there was a chance to be a little bit more thoughtful. And the trick these days, when things need to be done as fast as they technologically can be done, is to still bring the requisite thoughtfulness and care, even when you're working at multiple times the speed that we used to. When I first began practice, all of the underwriting and all of the significant bank lending originated in New York. Therefore, I spent a very substantial part of my working time in New York. I probably worked with New York lawyers and law firms for about a 15 or 20 year period, almost exclusively, and with Cleveland-based lawyers only infrequently. There were a couple of years when I was told definitively that I had spent more days on the ground in New York than Cleveland, and I was obligated to pay a New York City income tax. Don't tell anybody, I didn't, but it's just an indication of physically where the practice was and is today.
And there wasn't a partnership then. It was an association of lawyers. Everybody was independent. In fact, when I came to work, Bob said to me, here's the deal. We're going to pay you $300 a month, and but there'll be nice bonuses, and you can keep all the business you bring in, your own business. And I said, what kind of business am I going to get right out of law school? You're going to do a will for my uncle. And $300 a month, even then, wasn't much money. I said, I got to have more than that. I don't know where I got the guts to say that. He said, okay, 500, but the bonuses will be smaller. 500 a month I started at, $6,000, although I made more than that the first year. And it turns out, I just checked this, $6,000 in 1964 is equivalent to about $45,000 today. So it wasn't as meager as it sounds like. Here's how it started out. Copeland said, everybody's got to learn how to do everything when they're young. So he gave me a a divorce case that was some kind of a, you know, like a pro bono divorce case. So I was representing the wife in the divorce case, and one night I got a call from the husband who said, "I'm going to kill you." So I said, "I'm not doing any more divorce cases." I said, "I'm done with divorce."
I think remarkably, the firm always had a tradition of closeness among the lawyers and staff. We had the current term I think is collegiality. To think that over all these years that power is still there is, I think, the thing that I find remarkable.
I think I was at Benesch for about 3 years, and I ended up buying a small second home. It was actually an A-frame in Western New York. And I decided, and I was a very active practitioner at that time. I mean, I was highly engaged in the work that Benesch does, and I had my own practice as well and so forth. But I decided that I really didn't want to be bothered on weekends, and that was very well accepted, believe it or not. So I went to the sheriff and I said to the sheriff, "I've just bought this place and I'm not going to put a phone in, but if I have a client that has an emergency, I'm going to tell them to call you, and if you wouldn't mind, come on over to the house and let me know." And he said, "Fine." And so for 3 years I had a home up there that I went to religiously on weekends and on vacations, and I told clients, "If you need me, call the sheriff." Well, nobody ever called the sheriff. Never happened. And today, of course, the world is so different. When we wake up in the morning and when we go to bed at night, what's the first or the last thing we do is we check our iPhones or our BlackBerries. So that's a very significant difference in the way we practice.
Between firms continuing to grow, there's been a consolidation of the legal market, although it's still very unconsolidated. And I think clients, as legal expenses have gone up and up and up, and certainly in my practice of private equity, it's very much between the communication, which now is like in a nanosecond. They can send you a document. It's 24/7 practice.
In my years at Benesch, technology has evolved incredibly. When I first started with the firm, we had a PBX switchboard, which was, if you remember old movies, plug and play. If someone had a call, the switchboard operator would pull a cord and plug it into that person's hole on the switchboard and manually ring and say, "You had a call." Also, when I started, we had what was, we believe, the first Xerox copy machine in the city. And after you ran the sheet, you ran a copy, you actually hung the sheets out to dry before you could use them. Bob Copeland was always someone who liked technology and wanted to use it to improve the way we deliver services. So we were one of the early adapters to a memory typewriter. And the memory typewriter, which was thought to be phenomenal at the time, showed 3 lines of type on the above the keyboard, and you could edit those 3 lines of type. From there we went into a mag card system, where mag stands for magnetic cards, where you'd actually slip a card, magnetic card, into the typewriter, and as you typed, it recorded and kept the information so that you could go back and edit it again, but you might need 5 or 6 cards for a document. When we got our first high-speed printer, we were thrilled that it printed at almost 1 page per minute. So if you had a 60-page document, it only took you an hour or so before you could get a copy of it. From there, we, again, were one of the early adapters of telecopiers, now known as fax machines, now almost outdated. And there was even confusion where, you know, if you said to a client, usually a larger company, "Do you have a telecopier?" they might have answered no because they were calling it a fax, or vice versa. And that's continued throughout the years. Now, of course, we have the internet and email and truly high-speed printers, and we've always tried to stay in the front on technology to improve our services.
worked on. Some of them jump out at you for various reasons, and mostly because they're fun, some because you are playing a greater role in really helping your clients. So, you know, one transaction, for example, I think about early on in my career was when a client of ours bought the Cleveland Press, which was the second daily newspaper in the city of Cleveland. Joe Cole put together a group to buy that newspaper. That was a lot of fun because I spent my, you know, childhood growing up and reading the sports page on the Cleveland Press every day. So being involved in that deal was just a lot of fun.
Maybe the favorite part about practicing at Benesch is that I have a lot of variety of work, and maybe it's in my industry, so to speak, as well. I don't see a lot of the same transaction over and over, the same questions over and over. There's always twists and turns and always differences in clients, and that's what makes it fun to come to work every day, is knowing that I'm going to be challenged and knowing that it's going to be a high level and fairly sophisticated in terms of what we have to do.
The most interesting deal has been the revival of Antioch College, Yellow Springs. The university there closed the Yellow Springs campus, and a group of really committed and amazing alumni came together and raised a whole lot of money and acquired the campus and reopened the college, and are up to, as of today, I think 75 students, and, you know, on the path to accreditation. So it was a fascinating deal. It was a 150-year-old institution, which meant there were just a lot of cracks and crevices you had to look into in the course of the deal. And it kept a lot of people here busy for a long time, but it was fun, and at the end of it, you've just really felt good about saving the institution. We have a group of lawyers and staff that are just nice people, and so the other thing is that, you know, I get to come to work every day and work with really smart young people.
My favorite experience, I believe, was in 1990 when I was asked to represent the Republican majority on what we call the reapportionment board to reapportion the House and Senate in the General Assembly. We were up and down to the U.S. Supreme Court 3 times, and actually I argued a case trying to get a lower court decision reversed. And as a matter of fact, in 1993, I was leading a mission as chairman of the Rickenbacker Port Authority to Moscow, trying to bring Aeroflot back to the United States and the Rickenbacker. I was out with the mayor and one of our county commissioners visiting some Russian authorities to return to a dinner that somebody was having on our behalf. And when I walked in, my wife said, "I just got a call from Mark Tucker at the Columbus office saying you won." And I said, "We won what?" And she said, "You just got a decision from the Supreme Court in which 9-0 you reversed the lower court." So I called Mark long distance, and he told me about an opinion that Justice O'Connor wrote reversing the lower court. And then I had the opportunity to explain that to a bunch of former communists who then toasted us with vodka and, most importantly, caviar. So that was a memorable experience.
One of my formative transactions was the acquisition of EPCOA, the parking people, from ITT. I think in 1974 and 75, we acquired the U.S. assets, and then later we acquired the European assets. And then later, in 2 bites, we sold those at a huge profit to the client to a large private company in Buffalo. So that was a significant transaction because it was early in my career, and it taught me a great deal. The largest transaction in which I was ever involved was the going private transaction of Revco, a transaction which back in the mid to late 80s was well over $1 billion. And when the American Lawyer did its big deal section, we were on the top of the column as the largest deal. At the time that one was completed.
When we had to make a filing at the SEC, we'd get on an airplane with a package which had this registration statement, the exhibits, the underwriting agreement, all wrapped up. And always the youngest, newest person gets that job. And so the first time I did it, which was one of these first offerings, we'd go to the financial printer and they'd put everything together there in the package and then go to the airport. And so the instructions I got from George were where to go, how to get there, who to see, where to go at the SEC. And he said one more thing, and this is very important, he says with a straight face. He says, if the airplane gets into trouble while you're going there, and it appears that it's going to crash, what you need to do is pick up the package that's under the seat in front of you and put it in your lap and then fold your body over it so that in case the plane goes down, they'll be able to extract that from your body and the client will still have the filing. And it takes a while to know. And that same story went to, Goldner got that story the first time he did it. Everybody got that story.
There are two deals, I think, that come to mind as, well, first of all, the Apcoa deal, when we took them public, still is quote, favorite in many respects because it really was my first real experience with the public offering of securities and the securities law, and also led to my representing Howard Metzenbaum, who then became Senator Metzenbaum. So the Apcoa and Howard were wrapped together and was an important part of my professional life. The second one was my experience in taking Bailey public, which happened a bit later in 1968. By then I was a veteran. I had already been practicing for a good 10 years, so I was we had great difficulty with the SEC because the SEC felt that there were people in the company that were tainted. It turned out that they were wrong, but we went through 9 months of fighting with the SEC before we were able to take that company public. The firm then ended up representing Bailey for close to 30 years, and it was a wonderful client.
Probably the one that I enjoyed the most is when the firm represented a company that acquired the Great Adventure amusement parks, of which there were perhaps 8 or 9, and I traveled around the country going to the various amusement parks, riding the rides, of course, with the managers of the parks, and doing real estate due diligence. So from a sheer enjoyment perspective, that was probably the most enjoyable thing for all of the obvious reasons. I think that the real estate work that I've gotten the most legal enjoyment out of was the corporate headquarters work that I've done over the years, and in particular when TRW, publicly held company, did their corporate headquarters in Lyndhurst, Ohio, and then just recently when Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company did their corporate headquarters in Akron, Ohio. Those are very complicated, but they're also very fascinating and enjoyable projects.
My favorite deal goes back to the late 1970s. New Jersey passed the first casino gaming statute outside of Nevada, and Resorts International opened up the first casino. And at that time, one of our significant clients was Bally Manufacturing, which manufactured slot machines and was also known for various gaming devices, including pinball machines. And Bally wanted to get a location in Atlantic City. So Bernie Goodman and I traveled to Atlantic City under false names. Now, you might consider in today's world post 9/11 getting on an airplane with a false name and traveling to another city, but we did that because the client didn't want to be known because they were very well known and they felt that the price would go up. Bernie was after their primary target site, and I was after their secondary target site. And as it turned out, the site that Bernie was trying to tie down, Bally was outbid on, and I was able to secure the site for Bally, which is where that casino is located today.
Sometimes we bring different things to the table. So we represented a group of individuals who were looking to purchase a business and do so in the corporate relocation business. And I was working with them, and they had identified a target company to buy, but didn't have the funding. And through introductions that we were able to make in the firm, we were able to secure for them equity capital, which turned into the fuel that they needed to grow a business, which is now very healthy and thriving and living at Playhouse Square in Cleveland, Ohio. So you can look back at your career and see different roles that you've played and different successes and different people you've worked with and different things that you've accomplished. And it's all been a lot of fun. It still is.
One of my favorite memories of working here, when I first started at least, was as a floater secretary. So I was new, and you have, Benesch, Friedlander, Copeland, and Aronoff, and I was going to work for George Aronoff. And was very nervous, was I going to get the documents right and all of that. So it was on a Friday when I was working, and my main job for that morning was to get him a tennis court. So first I had to constantly dial this number, and we were thinking maybe it was the Cleveland Racquet Club or whatever, I can't remember. But you had to first continue to dial the number to get in. And once you got in, you had to hold. And you could be holding for 45 minutes to an hour and a half to 2 hours. And I think it was close to 2 hours until someone answered and you got a court. And once you did that, my job was literally done for the day. And I don't think George was even in the office that weekend. So that was my big memory and my big day with George Aronoff, my first one.
Benesch, and for about 6 months we analyzed the numbers, us and them, realized that there was probably some good reason to consider an integration. And then the next 6 months we had people meet people, department people meet people, and we liked the people. So it was something that took about a year to get done. Finally pulled the trigger in March of 2010, and since that time we've hired probably about a dozen lawyers.
We joined the Benesch firm in 1986. We were a small Columbus firm, Topper, Alloway, Goodman, De Leon, and Duffy. We did primarily administrative law. We did legislative and executive legislative lobbying. We did a lot of appellate work, and we saw the large Cleveland law firms coming into Columbus. I knew some of the partners here at Benesch at the time from my days at college when my roommate was from Shaker Heights. And so in 1986, Topper, Alloway, Goodman, De Leon, and Duffy became Benesch Friedlander. I think it's evolved in the sense that we have a bigger platform now that we were at Benesch than we did when we were 10 of us. And therefore, we're able to go out, and I was able to go out and try to bring into the law firm people that and business that we might otherwise might not have had. And so it's given me an opportunity to expand, whether it's the labor law business or the legislative and executive lobbying and all the attendant practices that are here at Benesch Friedlander.
We thought that it was a good firm, had a lot of the same thinkings that we did, how they treat people, how people are compensated. But after 3 years of getting to know the people, I can honestly say that I've made a lot of new friends. People in the firm have gotten to know a lot of people from Columbus and Cleveland, and we've really enjoyed working with those people.
The people. I think that, for me, is where it starts and stops. I enjoy the people I work with. I enjoy interfacing with people from other offices. Being in Columbus, certainly we have a kind of a family atmosphere down here, and it's the same when I go to other offices, Indianapolis, Cleveland, White Plains, Wilmington. I've been to them all and visited them all, and I think everybody is, has the same mindset that it's our people that make us special, and that's how we work.
Well, I think in terms of my practice, it has grown. One of the benefits of being at a firm like Benesch is that I came from a two-lawyer firm, which all of a sudden one day became a one-lawyer firm. And coming to Benesch, I had lots of people with different talents. And so, one, I didn't have to try and learn everything in the world, but secondly, areas of expertise that my clients needed, there's somebody at Benesch who knows. So I was able to provide more service, and that really causes the clients, especially the larger clients, to say, okay, I can stick with this firm, and they call and they say, do you have anybody who knows X, Y, or Z? And most of the time the answer is yes.
I think we have a high regard for one another, both personally as well as professionally. And I think that's important because when we leave the office at night and go back to our families, we are, after all, relying on one another to do our jobs and make sure that the firm continues to hopefully prosper, so we can take care of our families and mortgages and whatever. But I think it's the people.
Benesch is a great law firm because of the people, the lawyers and the staff. They're not just competent and great to work with. It's a wonderful feeling knowing that they care about you, and it makes you want to care about them. The clients and the work are okay too. One of the things that has been most special for me is being able to learn how to be a lawyer by learning from some wonderful colleagues who themselves are terrific lawyers. I can never thank them enough for their patience and their not giving up on me when on some days I felt like giving up. I only hope in some small part that I'm able to transmit that to, if you will, another generation of Benesch lawyers.
First of all, the quality of the practice and the quality of the people is the most important thing. You have to have really smart people doing high quality work. Otherwise, nothing else matters. Beyond that, and particularly those of us who started originally with Bob Copeland, we're still here, and several people who came a little bit later are still here, but have been here for many years. And so we kind of grew up together, and we're all friends, social friends, and there's a camaraderie, I think, that's, it's hard to replicate that.
This is something that Bob Copeland started. I like to think that I pushed it along, and that is this. Our notion, and I must say that I'm kind of biased in the direction of business corporate area because that's what I was in, although we have such wonderful lawyers in every area that it's kind of unfair. But I think the same thing applies in each area, and that is we always had the notion that it wasn't enough to do wonderful law work if you didn't get the deal done, because no matter how good the papers were and no matter how good the document was and what a wonderful job of writing you had done, if the deal didn't get done, if you didn't secure what the client was trying to do, then your work was not what it could or should have been, because the idea was to get the deal done. And I use that phrase over and over, and I use it today.
I've been at Benesch my entire career. I have had opportunities to go to other places, law firms and private firms. I find the culture at Benesch to be a very comfortable culture, personally. And professionally, I find it to be a very challenging culture. And so I've always felt very comfortable here, and I think we have great people. I think we treat our people very, very well, very professionally. And it's always been a place that I've been happy to be at.
What makes Benesch a great law firm? The answer to that is clear. It's the people here and the people who have come before them. So if you look at our law firm was built really on the shoulders of some great people. George Arnoff in Cleveland, Dave Kleiman in Indianapolis, Victor Goodman in Columbus. These are the guys that built the firm in the respective cities in which they live, created the culture that we are based upon today, and are, I think, and continue to be the heart and soul of the firm that is in no small part a reason for our continued success. We operate this business as a team. We have great staff. We have tremendous associates. As one of our political figures once said, it takes a village to get something done. It takes a family. Our family is comprised of a lot of different people, and it really is what makes us great.
I think the thing that makes Benesch a great law firm is if you have the initiative, and if you have the drive, and if you have the talent, if you have something you want to do from the standpoint of business development, or if you want to create a separate practice group, if you will, Benesch is very supportive of that. I mean, when I got here, and most people here didn't know much about private equity, and I said I want to build a private equity group. And they knew I was pretty immersed in private equity, but nobody really knew about it. They gave me the time, they gave me the dollars, and that's why we are where we are today. So, as long as you have the talent, the drive, and the initiative, and you've really got to have the initiative, Benesch is very, very supportive.
What keeps me at the firm are really two or three things. One, and most importantly, is the people I work with, and I enjoy the people I work with. And it's the other part that I really enjoy is the fact that we have a strategy of growth. I want to be in an environment where we're going to grow and not just stay where we're at and be complacent. And so I look forward to those other growth opportunities, and we really have a continuous improvement mentality in terms of running things more efficiently. We're always looking for ways to do things better, and that's the kind of environment I choose to be in.
I've stayed at Benesch because of the familiarity, the wonderful people that work here. It's a family extended from my own, and it has always been good to me, going from the part-time to working with good people.
The culture which we have here, which I've been taught since the day I walked into the firm, which is we're a goal-oriented firm. We talk to our clients. We try to understand what their ultimate goal is, and we go from there. So we are facilitators, we're counselors, and it's everyone around here who contributes to our ability to succeed in accomplishing our goals and the goals of our clients.
And I was here for the 50th anniversary, and I am delighted to be here and to wish all of the people at Benesch a wonderful 75th anniversary and many more anniversaries to come.
Congratulations to everybody at Benesch on the 75th anniversary, which coincides with my 75th birthday. So we both started in the same year, and I feel a special joy at that. Thank you.
Happy anniversary, Benesch. Wishing you 75 more great years.
So now at the time of the 75th anniversary of BFCA, I have only fond memories of everything that's happened during my time with the firm, and I want to take this moment to wish the firm, all of my partners and all the associates and other members of the firm in any capacity the best of good luck going forward. I think there are many, many good years ahead as the firm continues to grow and prosper.
Congratulations to the firm on the occasion of its 75th anniversary.
Happy 75th anniversary to the firm, and may they have many, many more.
A happy 75th anniversary to Benesch and all of our employees.
I want to congratulate everyone at Benesch on our 75th anniversary. I've had the privilege of being here since 1971, so it's, if you count my clerkship since 1970, almost 43 years. And it's been a wonderful place to practice law at. I've made a lot of friends and have really enjoyed myself. So congratulations to all of us.
Happy 75th anniversary, Benesch. I'm happy to still be here celebrating.
I wish the firm a continued success, obviously, in this great celebration of 75 years. There are not many law firms that we know of that last anywhere near 75 years, and hopefully my successors will continue to watch the firm grow and prosper.
Well, since it's our 75th anniversary, my feeling is let's party!
So once again, I'd like to wish the firm a happy 75th anniversary and many more years to come of continued success.